Hello, good morning, good afternoon, welcome. I'm very pleased to be joined by Christian Pho Duc. Christian, as most of you will know, is the Chief Technology Officer at Smartenergy. Smartenergy is one of the leading investors and project developers working in the space of renewables and hydrogen, and indeed hydrogen derivatives, and been a host and lead sponsor of the World Hydrogen Congress, and indeed a lot of the work that we've done on World Hydrogen Leaders over the past 5 years. So welcome, Christian. Thank you for joining me.
Good morning, Nadim. Great pleasure. And we just reminded ourselves that we had quite a journey in the last years together to get to this point of knowledge of hydrogen and all the opportunities in the market. So that was exciting, and happy to be here and to support again.
Yeah, it's certainly been a long road, I guess, so far, and you've obviously been one of the leading and pioneering players in trying to build out projects in the area, and so good to catch up in September 2024, see how your projects are progressing. What are your views around, I guess, the interlinking between, I guess, the renewables, the hydrogen, and now hydrogen derivatives, where we see sort of strong, I guess, appetite for off takers. So maybe you can give us an overview of how you see the market developing and how those challenges are in building these projects.
We have a joint learning, and we went through quite some steps of developing our focus in the projects. And while initially, obviously, to learn at all how to design an ecosystem for hydrogen projects and learning how important all aspects are at the same time, which is not only the financing side, the technology needs to be there, and etc. But on the off-taking side, which from the start was known to be very important, you realize the hurdles which are there, especially for new applications, also using hydrogen. So in this path, we really have reshaped a bit out of our portfolio of project priorities, where we put our main efforts. The one is the scale and size. I mean, we have from smaller to larger scale projects, but you realize if you don't manage to hit and also a bit independently from the public funding, which helps, but by itself only a very small fraction of projects can make it. To find an approach to the scale, the size. So we look into larger sizes, especially for the European projects, while outside Europe, or we also have some activities anyway, they are usually sized larger. And then on the off-taking side, in fact, in the strategic approach, where is the real need for players to move, to pay, a willingness to pay, which is matching the cost we can expect. And we have been quite realistic in our approach of sizing the cost of hydrogen and then potentially derivatives. Actually, I remember 2020 when we delivered our first cost prognosis to public funding. It didn't change very much, while in the meantime, the market moved first from very low to very high, now coming down again a bit. And in this strategy, we developed our AIM focus, which is focusing on aviation, industry, and maritime. And the A is the first in the row. Aviation, we know that there is, how can I say, this segment needs absolutely to decarbonize for various reasons, the targets, the quotas which are there, but also for the public acceptance of flying. And there is also a willingness to pay, not only by regulatory demand, but also on a free way to support this transition. So this is something we are pursuing. So several projects of ours in Portugal, Spain particularly, but potentially also in the Middle East. We have looked into developing now on top of the already started hydrogen development, to add the module, let's call it, of doing a derivative with it and focusing in the output then into fuels, especially kerosene, e-kerosene, to get a high share of that.
Yeah.
There is some new big equations in that, which is then the CO2, which is a new dimension.
Yeah, in terms of finding the CO2 to combine it, and what are your thoughts around, I guess, the availability of CO2?
Yeah. This is really the crucial question, and it was interesting to see also through the years now. Initially, when I talked first time to industries, and they had a problem with CO2, they were thinking, oh, how can you help me to solve the issue? And they were very happy about these opportunities with the fuels. In the meantime, they see, oh wow, that's a value you needed. What are you ready to pay? So there is now modeling about what is the value of CO2 if you take it away from others, where it is a problem, and also goes strongly into a regulatory side. How long are you allowed to use CO2 from industry? Until then, it has to be fully biogenic. So a lot of things to consider. Luckily, we engage very early with industries which are heavy users of fossil fuels, which need to transition, like ceramic and cement industries. So two of these projects are now coupled with our approach to do derivatives, and especially also do e-kerosene direction for the aviation. This is an essential part, but I see also further trends right now, while we are focusing, given the background of smart energy, to be leading in the renewable space with especially large-scale solar plants. We see that the bio source, in terms of generating fuels, for example, from municipal solid waste. This is also something which in the market starts to be even more dynamic together. And we are also looking into potential opportunities. But for now, our focus is to really maximize our knowledge on how to have very competitive cost on the electrical side, making cost competitive hydrogen, and with that, and then we talked about CO2 and some other factors, pricing to make competitive cost of the fuels. And this is the discussions we're having right now, also with the off-takers.
And in terms of the policy frameworks that are out there, are they fit for purpose? There's obviously a lot of capital expenditure. It's very much the cutting edge of, I guess, technologies, or certainly the systems integration required to bring together those technologies. Is the policy landscape fit for purpose and able to get you across FID, across some of these projects?
Yeah, I must say really that a lot has been done, which was very positive. In terms of regulation and stuff, there is a lot of clarity. In the meantime, the question mark still is whether the approach, which from the academic view is quite correct, in the international competition between other continents, can be as successful as we need. There is complexities across then the borders of EU and out of the borders, and this really needs to be considered, not to lose projects into other regions where things seem to be so much easier to do faster. That's one thing. I'm really saying a lot has to be achieved to have clarity, but the challenge is really to still be practical in having fast decisions, in having fast accelerated permitting ongoing. And actually here I see a new challenge coming, as we saw that on the political landscape in Europe, there's quite some growing opposition to this energy transition because of fear of cost prices, while we believe that actually this is the most useful thing to do in terms of security, lower prices in the future of energy, etc. I think there is a trend that which of some disbelief of that, fear of employment, etc. So I think besides politics and the politicians which try to transport this message, also ourselves, the associations, ourselves of the industry, need to engage stronger to make these advantages of this energy transition to the individuals, to the individual citizens, which by themselves are not very deep on the topic, to make this transparent. This is another option, topic to consider.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, I guess, the weaponization or using, yeah, the energy transition as a political football, as it were, in terms of, yeah, creating fear in I guess the wider public around the cost of the energy transition and indeed the necessity of it. But yeah, we can see that that's building right across Europe, if not the world. I mean, in terms of public acceptance, how do you approach that, or what are some of the ways that the industry can communicate better?
Mhm. So maybe I start with something which is really accepted in the market in general, which is solar, and which is one still our bread and butter business. Uh,
Mm,
and here, really the move towards the agri PV, so making PV combination with what other benefits are there, not taking away things that the land used before, even explaining that some crops even grow better with some partial shading and stuff. So this really was an amazing shift in a very short time. Like in Germany, most of the projects we are developing now, and as Italy the same, they shifted from before not doing agri PV to kind of almost all are based on agri PV now. So just to take this as an example of public acceptance, because then you go into the municipality, you have these discussions, and this rings a bell in the people's minds. Okay, this solar is not only taking our land, while many understand that is also very cheap and the cheapest energy we can have, but it really helps to get this public acceptance. And now we have to build onto the hydrogen and to the derivatives also this positive momentum to show them that these kind of fuels, they are all kind of fuels, um, touch them in a positive way. You see, before we had the discussion, well, will it be hydrogen or electric? If I'm very frank right now in Germany, there I meet more people who doubt the electric even these days. So it's not even about these two more clean solutions. Now it's about clean overall. So we need
yeah,
to show really this kind of practical advantages. And we mentioned also heat pump in the past, which initially was a something which had a positive understanding. Then taking Germany as an example, by the way it was communicated, and also other people opposed it. Suddenly, heat pump is a kind of a bad word. Which is
yeah,
amazing, which is a kind of the best thing you can do if your building somehow allows new buildings anyway, but old
yeah,
buildings you can do. But it's just really explaining the story in a way that the individual citizens can see their personal advantage in a simple way, and that's something I see from the solar. We've done it now with the agri PV. On the hydrogen side, I always try to really explain that this is something which is not kind of new. It's something which right now we're burning or not burning, but using a gas for it. So all that is kind of making it as simple as possible and to show them the advantages for their personal life.
yeah. Yeah, as a user of a heat pump and solar roof for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, I just find it amazing that they can still make the arguments about, the cost element, especially after
Mm.
the price spikes caused by the Ukraine war. But yeah, it is fascinating, and I guess the agri PV is a great point of how things have changed and created I guess a win-win situations, and it's not either or, but looking at combination and combining successfully. Um, and in terms of I guess what's next for smart energy, are you looking at new markets or looking at new opportunities? I mean, you mentioned very early on you were looked at the aviation industry and maritime sectors as the core hard to abate sectors, and therefore people that would be willing to have to pay a premium, or that's where the margin lies. I guess you're still focusing on those. If you've got any new projects coming up in those areas, and what are some of
Mhm.
your thoughts around the
Yeah.
opportunities?
Yeah, let's say the focus, oh, that's a word actually. The focus was to select those projects we want to move first. We have quite a pipeline of projects, and as we know, it's quite of a high investment to do, and the challenge to get to FID is high. So really, you need to take your priorities, and that's what we've done. So it's why early stage projects keep developing, and there are new opportunities coming. But in Portugal, Spain, Italy, and Germany, we have kind of each one or two projects which we have put on this AIM, as I mentioned before, a list which fits our efforts. Maybe I should mention at that point that obviously we see a lot of dynamics outside Europe. We had opened already a while ago an office in Abu Dhabi, which besides initially more on the sales perspective, now also gets into more an operational view to look into projects. And we had also announced, and it's a project I had also started with my colleagues, a project opportunity in Egypt on large scale ammonia, which also may have other outputs as well, which goes into the gigawatt scale project. So
Wow.
there is some developments here. As said, nothing happens from one year to the other. It's really, we need to get used that these large scale projects take not 1, 2, 3, 5, or rather 7, 8 years to be materialized. Not saying that some smaller projects can be faster, but these big ones really take a lot of preparation, commitment, investment, and that's a bit the focus we are having to target the projects specifically to different partner investor groups. Yeah, while there is a certain segment on our project, which are the renewable side, we package together for those who don't want to engage right now already into this kind of new market of hydrogen derivatives. But then we put a special focus on like aviation, and aviation is then a certain list of players in the ecosystem which are interested in, and the same in the maritime. So while we do different things, but each one by itself is focused in a closed ecosystem. So not to be kind of too diversified.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a big spread. You do different things, but each one should be comprehensive and focused. That's
Yeah.
maybe what I can say about the projects we are developing and kind of shaping in this direction.
Excellent. Well, it's been fascinating to catch up with you, Christian. Many thanks for all the work you're doing, and many thanks to the whole team at Smartenergy for the pioneering work that you're doing, and indeed also your support of World Hydrogen leaders. So many thanks, Christian, and we look forward to your speech at World Hydrogen Week this year, which is the end of 30 September, 1st, 2nd of October in Copenhagen. So many thanks. Look
Looking
forward to seeing
forward
you there.
very much. It's coming
Excellent.
so fast now again,
Yeah.
and